went down. We don't know if it was forced crash landing, if they ran into some sort of trouble, but we know that it is there on the front of Methodist Church of Drexel Hill. So the expectation is that we will continue to update you. We have people who are making their way there to the scene, but for obvious reasons, it can be a little bit challenging just getting there as everything is closed in all directions. You see a police presence there. I believe just looking at the back of the jacket, Delaware County Emergency Services on the scene. We've seen several fire rescue on the scene. Obviously there is the police, firefighters in the background. But the thing, I guess, again, and I keep revisiting this, that is telling is there's a lot of standing around right now. Does not appear to be any sort of treatment or rescue efforts around the helicopter or even in the surrounding areas. Interpret that as you will. This was a little while ago, and you can still kind of see the smoke. This was shortly after that medevac helicopter went down in front of the church. So there was a firefighting effort that took place, which would explain all the firefighters on the scene. So this was a little while ago. Okay, I'm sorry. They're telling me in my ear that we do have one of our executive producers, Vince DeFruzio, is on the scene to try to explain what he sees. Hey, Vince.
Hey, Bill. Good morning or good afternoon. First and foremost, I would say the atmosphere out here is basically a big sigh of relief. Everyone's standing around looking at this half of a medevac on its side. No propellers to be seen. It's leaning up against the Drexel Hill Methodist Church here, right at the front doors. Spoke to an officer.
Okay, Vince, we're going to have to jump in. I'm sorry. Stay tight with us. We're going to move over to a press conference that's actually taking place right now so we can try to get some additional information on what's going on. Do we have that to pull up, guys? Here we are, the press conference on the scene.
Life-threatening injuries.
So there are life-threatening.
Well, so the injuries were non-life-threatening.
I see. Okay, wow. So that's
it's a miracle.
incredible.
It's an absolute miracle. Here, what you see behind you, how this, and there's no debris, no wires down, no trees, how that pilot was able to get that plane there, and all four of them were able to get themselves out of the helicopter with assistance from the police and the fire department.
Sir, is that the word that you guys that the pilot performed as best to control landing as he possibly could?
Absolutely can. Can't wait to meet this gentleman, shake his hand for getting this plane down the helicopter the way he did.
And that's what we heard from witnesses, that they could hear the helicopter hovering, at a low level for a little while before it ended up coming down on the ground.
That's correct. So the reports were a few blocks from here, people who were calling in the helicopter in distress, and they could see that the helicopter was in trouble, and he was able to get to this location and land that helicopter. And again, all four got out with non-life-threatening injuries.
Any indication as to what caused the distress?
No idea yet, and that'll be up to the NTSB to work on that.
Sir, any additional challenges presented by 23-degree weather? Responding to a thing like this?
It's cold out here. The fire department, obviously, they're putting water on it for the fuel spill, so there are obstacles there as well.
I think the chief can speak to the aircraft.
Chief, yes, what about your response?
So, again, the call comes in about 12:57. First aid company was on scene within 4 minutes. They decided to do a quick size up. The four members with the four souls on board had self-extricated, so they decided to stretch hose line just to make sure that there was no ignition. Because of the fuel, we had to make sure there were no ignition sources so we wouldn't have a fuel fire. We started diking the area to keep the fuel contained so it wouldn't run into the water drains. Again, as you heard, Superintendent Bernhardt said this was a miraculous landing. We went inside and checked the structure of the church, make sure there's no damage to the church. Again, we had about 5 pieces of apparatus and 30 firefighters and 7 medics to respond to the incident.
So just to be clear, from what I'm understanding, the 4 people on board, which included the infant, all the adults, everybody was able to get out on their own.
Everybody was able to self-extricate. The members that had the nurse that had the babies to get out. Again, the medic units responded in a quick manner. They were able to get you to the hospital safely.
Can you be a little more specific about exactly what was on the flight? Pilot, of course, mentioned nurse, the infant, and then who's the 4th person?
They'll probably have to be co-pilot. We have 4 souls on board. Total 4 souls.
When you get that call that there's a helicopter in a residential area in the neighborhood of Drexel Hill,
fire service, police department, and emergency management. We are totally blessed because of the injuries that helped us concentrate on making sure there was a structural the fire started. So we were blessed.
And as we can see, this is all hands.
What we're hearing, guys, and unfortunately we're having a little bit of trouble with that video, but wow. As Vince was saying when we just spoke to him, everyone on the scene is breathing a collective sigh of relief. And as we just heard, and perhaps if you didn't hear it very clearly, what both police and fire officials said is that there were 4 individuals who were in that helicopter, including a young child. They described all of them as having gotten out of the helicopter with non-life-threatening injuries. Let's go back and rejoin that press conference. All right, we're getting it up in just a moment. But again, it's amazing to think and to look at that helicopter and find out that's now confirmed by both police and fire, non-life-threatening injuries. Let's get back to the presser.
Person we don't know. So again, it's a very dynamic situation for all those involved. They were quickly extricated, again, by police and fire, did what they needed to do, but those persons may not have been notified. But
I see. So the medical flight didn't necessarily come from CHOP, but that's where it was headed.
I believe our best understanding was
From CHOP, they're not going to CHOP. That was where it was en route to, so CHOP. So I think we're finished up here for now, and we'll follow up and we'll update you as we can, okay? Thank you very much.
anything you want to go for?
All schools have been notified. All the schools in the area, the police and fire department notify all the schools, the school districts, and all the schools are fine. We told them they could dismiss, so that they've been notified as well.
And you called this a miracle for Harvard.
It is a miracle. It's an absolute miracle on Vermont Road, is what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Wow, and so they're describing it, you just heard him say, they're describing this as a miracle on Vermont Road. So we now know, they just confirmed it, both police and fire officials. There were 4 individuals on that medevac helicopter. They apparently were en route to CHOP, the hospital, with the young child. They described it in that press conference as a controlled landing. There was some sort of an issue with the helicopter that forced the pilot to have to land. They called it a controlled landing, and you heard the fire officials say that they would just like the opportunity to shake that pilot's hand for the way they handled that situation and brought the helicopter down. Our interpretation of the fact that you weren't seeing a lot of activity surrounding that helicopter was because of exactly what he just explained. They said that everyone who was in the helicopter was removed quickly by police and fire. They said that the pilot actually helped the baby escape, remove the baby, and the baby remained or continued en route to CHOP. 4 individuals, including the baby, all safely removed. They said everyone got out with only non-life-threatening injuries, and they are describing it as a miracle on Vermont Road. So that obviously is great information to hear. They said that there was some fire, that fire officials were on the scene and were able to get under control relatively quickly. So in looking at the extent of the damage there on that helicopter, to find out that everyone got out safely. The pilot, dealing with some sort of a situation with the helicopter, had to have a controlled landing. That appeared to be, I guess, the most open or potentially safest place to have that controlled landing and have everyone survive. And that's exactly what happened. They said that the pilot is a hero. Police and fire officials are eager to shake that man's hand, and they continue to emphasize non-life-threatening injuries. 4 people on that medevac helicopter all got out, including a young child who is on their way to CHOP. So we do have some reporters on the scene. We may check in with them to find out exactly what they are experiencing it on that level. I know that our Hank Flynn is out there, Vince DeFrugio is out there. We've got several cameras out there. But for now, you just saw the press conference. All of those officials kind of breathed a sigh of relief and then said that they will get back shortly. They put out all the information that we were all waiting for and needed to hear, and that is only non-life-threatening injuries. Largely, it appears, because of the bravery, the calm head. Cooler heads prevailed in a situation like this. It appears that it was a pilot who was dealing with some sort of a situation. We don't know if it was weather-related, the cold weather, or something along those lines, but realized that they were in a difficult situation and were forced to have what they called a controlled landing. Tried to find some level of open space, put the helicopter down, and police and fire officials described it as the bravery, cool head of the pilot, and are looking forward to shaking his hand. So to kind of recap what we know, and it's been now about 45 minutes or an hour or so where reports began to come in of a helicopter crash in Drexel Hill, Delaware County, at Vermont Road and Bloomfield Avenue. That's right there at the Methodist Church of Drexel Hill. It was a medical helicopter, a medevac helicopter that went down. Initially, we were told that there were multiple injuries. We now are able to confirm it was 4 people who were inside that helicopter that crashed in Drexel Hill. Amazingly, when you sit there, and this is the overhead scene from Skyfox, kind of establishing locator video of the area and everything that is still taking place. But it is amazingly relaxed on the scene right now for everything that they were forced to deal with. Police and fire officials described it as people there just kind of breathing a sigh of relief and calling it a miracle. Our Hank Flynn is on the scene, so we're going to check in with him. Hank, they're calling it a miracle there, and everyone kind of breathing a sigh of relief.
Well, breathing a sigh of relief, Bill, I mean, that's exactly what it is, but maybe just a little bit more. This is a life flight, a medevac helicopter that originated out of state, and you can take a look at what's left of it right there. It landed right on the stoop of the Drexel Hill United Methodist Church, and emergency officials, Bill, tell us that they heard it chugging, struggling to stay in the air. They were getting calls from homes a few blocks away that a helicopter was struggling and making its way down. Emergency officials have not talked to the pilots yet, but they somehow managed to get this helicopter down out of the sky. Officials tell us 3 crew members on board plus 1 infant, and they were inbound to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They were headed for CHOP with that baby. The helicopter came down here. There are no life-threatening injuries, according to Delco emergency officials. This helicopter is down. It looks like a complete wreck, but a miracle, Bill, nothing short of it. That baby is either at CHOP or on its way to CHOP. The other 3 crew members on their way to hospitals as well. Drexel Hill Fire and Upper Darby Fire are telling me that they had to spray water all around it. Obviously, it's a helicopter. There'd be jet fuel all over the place. They wanted to control any possibility of fire. And again, as you'll look on the Drexel Hill sign, it may pop up again. It's 23 degrees here in Drexel Hill, Bill. And all the officials here told me, yes, that did present challenges as well for putting out what might have been a fire and also to tending to the people who belong to that helicopter. We're going to have a lot of questions. I am told that cold weather would not have been a factor in this helicopter's coming down out of the sky the way it did, Bill. But again, all signals indicate out here in Drexel Hill from people that we talked to on the ground, emergency officials, that this pilot somehow found a way to get a stricken helicopter, a struggling helicopter, out of the sky and down on the ground in a place where there just wasn't anywhere to land. And Bill Anderson, he did it in a way that has everyone still alive, headed to the hospital, and no life-threatening injuries. So a miracle, buddy, you can say that 2 times.
Yeah, Hank, they said that they just want to shake his hand. I know you and I join in that sentiment. You know, there are several people who are very happy
I'll buy him
about
a beer,
that hero.
man. I've never seen anything like it. Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. We appreciate you getting out there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So they're calling it a miracle there on Vermont Road. A quick recap of what we know. As I said, a helicopter crash took place about 45 minutes or an hour ago. There were 4 people who were in the helicopter en route to CHOP, including a young child. As Hank just described, there was apparent problems with the helicopter. The pilot then became aware of the fact that he was going to have to land the helicopter that was struggling to stay in the air, tried to find some sort of a safe space, and the front of that church appeared to be the best option. That pilot, who is now being called a hero by people out there, was able to land that plane, that helicopter, excuse me, in a way that all 4 individuals on board escaped with what they're calling non-life-threatening injuries. Wow. We're going to leave it there, but we will continue to keep you updated. We will have more at 5 o'clock here on Fox 29 News. Of course, you can always stay updated on fox29.com or our Fox 29 app. The Miracle on Vermont Road. We'll be back. I'm Bill Anderson in the Fox 29 newsroom.
People put their money towards this for, like, the purpose of being bitter?
I'm kind of doubting this whole thing, too.
I don't really get it, but okay.
Do you have plans for Valentine's Day, Shayna?
Not at the moment. I'm sure I'm told something's brewing, but I don't know.
Okay. Do you have something brewing?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay.
I'm not the planner.